last minute? Well, whether or not you filed your taxes or you're waiting until the last minute, the good news is every single one of you who lives in Ontario, your families, your children, will get Climate Action Incentive payment. And so, yes, you will pay a little bit more at the pump, 4 cents more for gas per liter, but you will get money back. So a family of 4 will get $307 back. That is more than 80% of families will pay. And we think that's really important because we want people to be better off. We want big polluters to pay, and we want the money to go back to you. And then you can make choices. You can save more money. What are some of the things you can do in your homes? Anyone have a smart thermostat? Like, there's no point in heating your home or cooling it when you're not there. Better insulation. Even LED light bulbs. Do you know that the LED light bulbs now last for 18 years and use a fraction of the energy? But if you do those things, you'll save money. Who likes saving money? I like saving money, so do them, they're good. But also, you know, how you get around. You could, I know for sometimes public transit is hard, but you could look at, is there carpooling options? Are there, you know, a more energy efficient vehicle? And maybe when your next vehicle, you look at a zero emission vehicle. An electric vehicle will get most people back and forth from work. You don't buy gas. You pay very little money. So once again, saving money. And that's what we want to do. Life has to be affordable. That's why we did a middle class tax cut. That's why we did the Canada Child Benefit that's raised 300,000 children out of poverty and is helping families across the country. That's why we did the small business tax cut from 11 to 9%, because we want to grow the economy, because we want life to be affordable, but we also want to take action on climate change because we're paying the cost right now, and the costs down the road are enormous. So as I said, phasing out coal, we're doing that across the country, investing in renewable energy, but also making sure there's a just transition for workers and communities. Because I've learned in this job, we need to help people. And so if you're a coal worker, you deserve a job. And your community deserves to be thriving. And we're working with countries around the world to get them off coal, because that's very important, it's very polluting, and also helping to support them invest in renewables. Public transit, I've talked about that, building public transit. Cleaner cars, your $5,000 incentive for electric vehicles is available May 1st. Investing in clean technology. So this is the really exciting part. So are there any engineers or scientists or young people who are looking at, you know, what they might do in the future that might be in the clean space, clean solutions? Anyone excited? Maybe? Well, let me do a pitch for you. That clean solutions are estimated at a $26 trillion economic opportunity. So when we were trying to convince the Americans, the Trump administration, to stay in the Paris Agreement, we just talked about jobs and economic opportunity. Even if you don't care about climate change, if you care about jobs, if you care about economic opportunity, you should take action. And you're seeing that in the United States. It's not just companies like Tesla, it's companies across the board. And coal's not coming back, by the way, in the United States. It's not. It's not the cheapest option. But this is a great company. So this is a company downtown Toronto. It's called Enwave. Anyone heard of Enwave? Great idea. You know what they do? They take water deep from Lake Ontario that is really, really cold. And then they bring it to the downtown core and use it to cool buildings. It's huge savings on air conditioning costs. And there's lots of jobs. And you're using what is already there. Who thinks that's a good idea? Great. Well, and for all the young people, there's opportunities across the board to come up with these solutions, and we need you. We need the inventors and the business people and the entrepreneurs. And there are many, I've met many of you, some of them even in China, you know, with solutions, and that's great. Energy efficiency. So this is, I like to say, we didn't get out of the Stone Age because we ran out of stones. We got smarter. We could be be smarter about how we build our homes, that we should be much more energy efficient. And especially for affordable housing, people who have the least amount of money should pay the least for energy costs. So we're investing in affordable housing across the board, but making sure it's energy efficient. I saw a social housing, affordable housing building where the energy costs for a year per unit were $12. $12 for the whole year. Pretty good. Helping communities adapt. I mean, very sadly, we need to be adapting to the impacts of climate change. We're seeing flooding right now, but we're seeing forest fires, all sorts of weather. So we need to be working, and we are working with communities. We have a fund to help support adaptation, but we're going to have to do a lot more because we're seeing how fast the impacts of climate change are. Protecting the nature we love. So we announced that we are doubling the amount of nature we're protecting in Canada through a $1 billion Nature Legacy Fund. So the Canadian government, we're putting up $500 million, and I had to do this with the finance minister. I said, I will find matching money. So we have $500 million that's being put up by foundations, by the private sector, by municipalities, by provinces to protect nature. Whether it's Rouge National Urban Park or it's nature in our territories. Nature is really important as a measure against mitigating our emissions as a sink, but also to adapt to climate change. There are natural ways that you can help adapt to flooding and other impacts. Plastic pollution. We're working on plastic pollution. Unfortunately, that's what you might find. I used to live in Indonesia and work in Indonesia. And yes, I got a friend who I just met who I worked in Indonesia an extremely long time ago, so we're quite old. I don't want to talk about it. But unfortunately now, if you go swimming in Indonesia, you'll see a lot of plastic pollution. They're working hard on it, but that's a problem. But that plastic is ending up in Canada too, so we all need to beat plastic pollution. When you create plastics, it lets off emissions. But also, as I say, we don't want that in our rivers, streams, and oceans. And that's really it. We're all in this together. A lot of people say, well, what's the federal government doing? We're stepping up. We're working really hard. We're working sometimes less than I would like with provinces, because sometimes the premiers don't want to work with us, but we're doing everything we can with provinces, with cities. Cities have no choice but to act on climate change because they're on the front lines. We're also working with businesses, with schools, with hospitals, with everyone, because it's about everything we do. It's about how we personally live our lives, and of course it's about the big things too. And that's my last slide. I think that's really it. Our kids are counting on us. And I know my kids are. They say, you know, why are you going away? It's my daughter's birthday. And I said, because I want to go talk to more people about how we need to act to protect the only planet we have. And so they get it, but they are counting on us. And that is on all of us. And they're also part of the solution. And it makes me happy when I see them marching in the streets on Fridays. Because they should be marching. It's their future. All right, so that's it. I think we're going to have a little chat. I probably went over. I tried to be quick, but all right.
Thank you so much,
now I'm going to think about your questions.
Can we thank Minister McKenna for that presentation? Thank you. And can I also just say that on her daughter's birthday, you know, folks, we've had many town halls in this riding. We had one on immigration. We had one on electoral reform. And now we have one on town hall on climate change. And this is the first time that we've had a minister come out here and talk to the amazing people that live in Scarborough. And I just want to say thank you, Minister McKenna, because when I invited her, it was without hesitation. She said, Sean, I'm there, let's get a date, and let's make this happen. And I apologize it had to be on your daughter's birthday, but I'm so happy you're here, Minister. Now, I'm going to call up our next very special guest. Before I do, I also want to acknowledge Allura Moores. I just saw her here. Is she still here? Allura is the president of the Rosewood Taxpayers Association. And, well, I think she might have left, but they have a cleanup happening this Saturday. So I encourage you to look up Rosewood Taxpayers Association. I join them quite frequently to do the cleanup, and it's one of the funnest ways to engage the youth.